from VentureX Studios in Frisco, Texas. It's JP, Kathy, and the crew.
Well, good morning. We're having technical difficulties.
No, that's you having technical difficulties. What
I'm
voice is that?
still asleep.
What voice is that?
I have been infiltrated by the AI.
Artificial intelligence.
Here we go. Here we go.
Yeah,
Corley,
like, oh,
here we go.
great.
It started off, good morning. It is JP, Kathy, and the crew coming to you live here on the JP, Kathy, and the crew network, as we do every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 7:30 to 9 a.m. Super excited about today.
Well, big day, big week.
It's just a big day.
It's all good stuff.
It's Monday.
It's
I
all
rolled out
good
of bed.
stuff.
All I need.
Yeah,
You got to
woke
turn
up
your
this
mic up,
morning.
dude. We can't hear you. You're
We
like
woke up this
silent
morning.
majority.
Yeah,
I
I
have
can't
to,
hear
like,
anybody. I've still got
practically
my
lay
headset
down
on
on
top
it.
of my head like Mickey Mouse or something.
Now, I have a question. I have a
good
question.
look. It's
Chuck,
new.
what
It's
kind of
new.
quirky, crazy, whatever name do you have for Monday today? You had punny somebody.
I hear something.
Day.
Is something going on your computer?
Let's see. Yeah, Vacaville, California is burning down.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's what's happening on my computer. I just got to
Oh,
do
wait,
this.
we forgot to scoot our desks back
I
out.
just got to do that.
We didn't follow directions.
So I just got to do that. So good morning. Welcome. It is Murphy's
Oh,
Law
yeah,
Monday.
there you go.
Everything that's going to go wrong is going to go wrong. This morning, for me, what went wrong was I didn't set my alarm. Woohoo!
Okay,
Dude.
okay. There you go. That's
Oh,
what I'm hearing. I was
relax,
like, do
teacher.
I hear us?
It's Teacher Ward.
Do I hear us? It is. You can take the teacher out of the classroom, but you can't take the classroom out of the teacher.
Yeah, but,
That's at the end of the day, that's all.
So it's time to
It is
share.
what it is.
Has everybody shared yet this morning? It's time to share.
Yes.
I'm getting ready to share.
I like y'all.
And we want you to share too.
Oh, I thought you just wanted us to share something.
No,
y'all.
you like to share way too much. We want you to share to your friends.
Says the man who has shared everything.
Yeah, absolutely. Wait till I dance on the table naked.
Oh.
But in all seriousness, we
Hope
want
you
you to
had your
share this
coffee.
out. We want you to get to our YouTube
Nice.
page.
Yes,
Charles,
yes.
do we have our link for the YouTube page?
And why is that important, Corley?
And what's our new link, Charles?
I don't have
So
it
that
up
we can
there.
get
I
to
don't have it up
1,000
there.
Corley, what's
subscribers.
Yes.
But
Okay,
it's, I think it's JP, Kathy, the crew.
is it? There are
JP, Kathy, the
certain-
crew.
There are certain thresholds that we meet, and we get certain things.
That's right.
Kind of like leveling up in a game. So what's
Yes.
up on that?
I'm going to write it down so you can say it because it sounds better coming from you,
I
actually.
don't know about that. You're the professional.
Well, I don't know. It sounds good. Well, so we definitely need 1,000 subscribers
Okay.
on YouTube and 4,000 watched hours from all of you out there.
Okay, so 4,000 from any of the shows
For any...
or a collection of the shows.
that's right.
Okay.
On the channel, collectively.
Awesome sauce.
And yeah, it'll be great.
All right, we've got Dr. Norm Clothier joining us this morning. Good morning, Dr. Clothier. How are you
morning.
this morning, and
Good
how was your commute
morning.
in today?
And I'm sorry, I didn't come through.
You're there.
What's that?
We can hear
I'm
you.
here.
I can hear you. We're
Yeah,
going to see you
okay.
here in just a second, I'm sure. But so Dr. Clothier, school years are all firing up across the United States, but especially here in the state of Texas. A lot of students going back to the classroom. In a lot of the school districts that I've talked to, 60% of parents wanted their children back on campus. 80% of that 60% were still concerned about the safety of their students, the safety of the teachers, and COVID-19. Did the schools do enough? Did they get enough taken care of? And so a lot of questions around COVID-19 and returning it back to our schools. And so, Dr. Clover, let's kick it off. What do we need to think about as we go back to school with COVID-19?
Well, first, I think the fair thing is that there is no clear answer because nobody knows enough about the virus. You know, if I hadn't mentioned it before, it was only just genotyped less than 9 months ago. And, you know, we're still trying to figure out what happens even with, say, for instance, fall weather and the virus because it was described back in November of 2019. So I think the first thing is we have to all realize that this is new water we're navigating. And I think, we just have to try our best. And we have to realize, too, there is illness around, and illness has been around for as long as mankind. And I think, one thing I always observe about 2 weeks into any given school year is that I start to see all the kids come in sick because basically they have, strep throat or colds or sinus infections or whatever from being together. And I think COVID's going to be similar. I think all the precautions, I see pictures with little plastic screens between desks, and, I think that's a very helpful idea. But I think the bottom line is you still have air circulating around, you have people around, and you just have to basically do the best you can with the circumstances that are presented to us. And one of those, you want to keep your child healthy as you can. We always talk about nutrition, exercise. A fair sleep time for children is very important for their health. Teach them some hygiene. I think most people are into that in terms of sneeze into the elbow or sneeze into your mask, literally, so you don't spread particles around the room. And, grab a tissue quick. If you're going to sneeze, go wash your hands. Sanitizers are okay. They don't replace soap and water for the 20 or 40 seconds that are recommended to wash hands. And I hope that all schools can adapt to the idea of providing these opportunities for children. I know, when I was a child in elementary school, of course, this is back in the 1900s, we didn't even talk about washing hands. We had group water fountains. There were 3 or 4 or 5 spouts on one big trough, and we had very little opportunity to stop and clean up. Frankly, that was just out of the ordinary for our classroom. Now I think this change will probably be a very valuable change over time because it'll acknowledge that we need to be careful about hygiene.
Right. And Dr. Clothier, there's something to be said, though, for the statement, rub some dirt on it. I know that, and you've talked about this before, maybe if you can describe this, because this is upon us every cold and flu season, and that is being able to build natural antibodies against these bugs out there, because if not, we, give antibiotics out like they're candy, and then all of a sudden you get a super bug and you can't get over it.
Yeah, I think, acquired immunity is a very important feature in our society. And you hear the term a lot now with COVID about herd immunity. We've talked about that for many years in terms of the flu, that, for instance, if some people, get the vaccine and block the infection from other people, then from them getting it from a contagious person who'd otherwise be contagious without the shot, then that's a valuable way to get some degree of herd immunity. The other is gradual exposure and antibody production. And there actually is evidence, too, for instance, with the flu shot, that if you get it annually, like we recommend, that you develop an acquired immunity to many different strains and you're less likely to get sick. So the challenge is twofold here. First, we don't have a vaccine at this time. And, who knows when we'll have one. I know they're in trials and trying to push it as fast as they can, and that's admirable, but we don't know the outcome yet. So I wouldn't go sign up for that yet because it's not available yet. And then the second issue is we really don't know if you acquire immunity or not. Some of the antibody testing on COVID has been a real challenge because it appears that people get some immunity, some antibodies that are measurable, and then they kind of dissipate. And it's a different rate for some people than others. Some people seem to have a more prolonged immunity, and we don't know what those factors are yet. That's part of what we have to figure out, is that will play also into the vaccine idea, is that we need to know how long immunity lasts, how long those antibodies persist. There's also evidence that if you've had a number of colds through the years, that you have a relative protection against coronavirus, because a lot of common colds are caused by more common coronaviruses rather than this novel one that the human has not yet developed immunity to. So I'm hopeful personally that we can acquire immunity over time, much like we do to colds to some degree, and that there'll be a crossover to where the people are just not as devastatingly sick when they get the virus. And the other thing, I don't know how often you say rub some dirt in it, but I think there is a lot of truth to being able to acquire immunity through normal life events. We cannot live in bubbles. There's a lot of talk that people who, have really shut down and stayed in and not around other people, that they may or may not be, benefiting. They may benefit from not getting the deadly coronavirus. They may not necessarily benefit from other immune response. So we have to work toward finding a balance at some point, and we don't know yet what that balance is.
And thank you for mentioning the boy in a plastic bubble. That's what I think of, because I feel like so many of us have formed this type of protective seal around ourselves or our loved ones. I know very young children. I've got friends who have not taken their very young children out anywhere, and I think, my gosh, my kids, both of them, from the time they were just, a few days old, they were out on my hip, hanging out at political events, board meetings, went with me to work a lot. They were out and about. We had them at movies, restaurants, museums, parks. And so that's something that right now, if you're especially a newer parent, your kid's not getting those natural opportunities to build their immunities, and that does concern me. So then 10 years from now, do we have a very sickly group of teenagers?
Right. I think that, it's certainly something we have to factor in. There's so many repercussions of COVID that we don't yet have a handle on because it's new, and so we don't know the long-term effect of that. We don't necessarily have any idea yet what the long-term effect of people would be if they ignore other disease and don't come in. I've had a number of televisits with people because, of course, people have been scared to come into the office, or they don't actually realize we're open, which we've been open the whole time since the pandemic began. But, if I see somebody on a televisit for a sprained ankle, for instance, that's a hard televisit to do. You can't evaluate the joint at all. And so, it's sort of it's kind of a weird realm to not be able to examine someone. For someone like me, who's for years relied on history and physical and all the factors that go into that, if I can see somebody trying to move around in the office and barely able to put weight on their ankle, that's very different from them sitting at their kitchen table on a video screen with me seeing only their face and not
Right.
able to evaluate.
Yeah. Right.
So I think we do need to not ignore other symptoms. It's just out here, COVID. And I want to address too, I've got a number of people who say they won't go to the ER because they don't want to get COVID. And ERs are being incredibly careful about isolation and screening, as we are here at the office. And I think the odds of getting COVID at a medical facility are actually markedly lower than at a restaurant or a store. So I would say don't be afraid to be evaluated if you have a medical concern. We've had people with heart disease call and say they have chest pain, and they're not going to the ER and they're not coming in here, and what do they do? And I think, I don't know what else you can do because we don't know what's going on.
Well, and you can't help with your own. You can't save yourself from a heart attack, so to speak. You can't give yourself CPR.
Right, it's hard. I mean, I've done it because I always trick myself, but that's one of those.
Dr. Clothier.
And you're amazing.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, no, and you're amazing. That's why you wear a red cape instead of a white coat.
He wears both.
Oh,
So
he wears both.
It is. It's a challenge though, because I think a lot of people have really neglected their own health, and I think the acquired immunity issue. Going back to that, the challenge right now for somebody wanting to take their child out somewhere is that a lot of places are still closed or really inconvenient. You mentioned going to a museum or whatever it is. It's hard to get into one because of restrictions on numbers and all that. And the other is society, because I think a lot of people who are well-meaning about taking their child out safely will face criticism from others who will say, "Are you crazy? Why do you have your child out of your home?"
That COVID
And
shaming.
that's exactly, and that's part of what we also have to work out as a society, is to realize it is a normal thing to have some degree of infection. There is no one that goes through life without infection. It's just we don't want deadly infection or something that we just don't know the repercussions of so far because it's such a new virus to our society.
Dr. Clothier, good morning. I was wondering, this is Corley. I was wondering, thank you. Do you have an opinion on Donald Trump's announcement of the convalescent plasma that he announced, I believe, yesterday around it with the
I
FDA
do
approval?
have an opinion. I think that is much more likely to help than the many other things that have been talked about, hydroxychloroquine and such. I just think the idea of a convalescent plasma is actually a scientific idea. The other things, what I hear I have people calling in all the time that want, that hydroxy and then Zithromax and zinc. And, zinc's available over the counter. Zithromax is an antibiotic, doesn't treat viruses. And the hydroxy, we don't have data that supports the idea that it's particularly helpful. There are small studies of a few people that show possible improvement, but that may also just be the statistical anomaly that in a week they would have been better anyway. And so we still need better studies. I do think the idea of a plasma that is already, apparently has antibodies in it, which would be what we'd pick from the convalescent plasma, is a much more likely thing to help. And if you recall a handful of years ago when we had a single case of the Ebola virus show up in the Dallas area, the first time in the Western Hemisphere, there's Dr. Kent Brantley had been over in Zambia and was treating people with Ebola and ended up getting the infection, and he got an enriched plasma that had antibodies from a young man over there, and he recovered fully. And, that's a promising thing. It's still kind of anecdotal. There aren't a lot of cases to look at to see what happens, but I think that's a very reasonable pathway to treatment.
This is Charles. With the plasma, what is it about? Is it just the plasma, or is it a combination of the plasma with the platelets?
Well, it would involve some platelets, but it would involve some exposed to coronavirus, so that in theory you can then mount an immune response. So the idea there is that if you pull plasma or liquid from the bloodstream, essentially to break it down to its simplest form, then there will be ingredients in that bloodstream fluid that will help people to be able to fight the virus. And when somebody's critically ill, they often run low on platelets and blood cells, white blood cells, plasma itself, fluids to the body. So I think it's a legitimate idea. I think the challenge is still that we don't know how much immunity forms in the bloodstream. It may be more other types of immune response. We still have to find that out over time too.
So, Dr. Clothier, good morning. As we get ready to enter the school season, allergy season is around. I mean, it's here. Cold and flu here.
Yep.
So how do we tell the difference between cold and flu, allergies, and COVID-19 when we have our kiddos at school, teachers? You're walking the grocery store, somebody sneezes, and the entire grocery store acts like an atomic bomb went off, and people scatter.
And people.
So how do we know the difference?
And people end up saying stuff like, "It's just allergies, I promise." I have found myself saying that, even with a mask on and sneezing into my elbow. You feel like you have to say that, but how do you know?
Do you say it's just allergies and rub some dirt in it?
Yes,
I'm just
yes,
curious.
and pop a vitamin
Okay.
C. There you go.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's on zinc. You can't find zinc right now. Anyway, that is a challenge because, unfortunately, in the crisis phase of the pandemic, which of course we may still be in, we all know we're still in the pandemic. I don't know about the crisis phase, but every symptom of the world got mentioned as related to COVID. There was actually at one time a CDC list with 23 symptoms listed as possibly related to COVID. And then they kind of back down and they said, well, the really telling symptoms are fever, shortness of breath, and cough. And I think it's fair to still use fever as a marker because, if you have allergies, you really shouldn't have fever. Allergies are a histamine response of the body with congestion and sneezing and itching of the throat, itchy eyes. I think if you have no fever and you're sneezing and have an itchy throat, itchy roof of the mouth, itchy eyes, I think it's fair to consider that to be seasonal allergies. And allergies are always around. We have ragweed just now starting to grow. It's going to get, it'll get more involved. Always by 1st of September, we have a ton of seasonal allergy folks. And, it's just, it'll come. But if there's no fever and no shortness of breath, I think it's fair to consider that to be allergy. So if you have a sudden onset of body ache and cough and fever, and, that's probably going to end up being influenza this fall or into the winter. It could be COVID. So that's going to be a hard thing to sort out. The other thing that's very common in the fall is strep throat. And if you have a low-grade fever, usually not high, and pain with swallowing and the classic, kind of metallic taste to the mouth and white spots in the throat, that's much more likely to be strep throat. Probably not COVID related because COVID is not particularly seen to cause sore throat. And so it's going to be a challenge to sort out those things. And I'd encourage people, if you're sick in any form, try your best to stay away from other people, self-quarantine, then try to sort out your symptoms. Really be legitimately fair. Try to take the thought of COVID out for a moment. Just say, hey, is this something I would ordinarily have every September or every late August or every October? And that is it just congestion and no fever? And it's probably more like a cold, for instance. Is it sneezing and itching? It's probably more like allergies. Is it severe sore throat that feels like razor blades? More like and that's what we have to sort.
So, Dr. Clothier, what about testing for oxygen? Where your oxygenation levels are at? Is that helpful?
The blood oxygen level?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think if you happen to have a pulse oximeter at home and you have no symptoms, you should check your pulse oximetry and see if you're at 92% or more, because that's normal for adults and children alike. So and sick, you can check it and see if it's dropped. If it has dropped and you're short of breath, you should go to the ER.
Do we think schools will go that direction, Dr. Clothier?
No, I don't think they'll do pulse oximetry. On everybody every day. I think you have to be practical. I think if somebody is feeling sick, pulse oximetry, that's just one of those sort of extras that's been thrown out there in society. It is available. I do think it's helpful for people with COPD, emphysema syndrome, and with asthma. I don't find it to be it wouldn't be a good screening marker for schools, for instance.
All right. Dr. Clothier, what would you like to leave everybody with as we get you back to work and we move on with the business of the day?
Absolutely, and that's a fair question. I was thinking earlier that, to me, the biggest issue with COVID is trying not to be overwhelmed with the idea that everything is COVID. I actually had a patient to the hospital about a month ago, and his wife called and said he was admitted with COVID, and, she wanted us to know. So I saw him in a follow-up, and every hospital note and everything he said was he had chest pain and was evaluated for his heart, and he was negative for COVID and had nothing related. But what we, decided in discussion was that he was not feeling right, went to the hospital, so the automatic thought was, oh, man, it must be COVID. And I think you have to sort out the fact that many other things are statistically much more likely. So try to be as objective as you can. Try not to be overwhelmed by the fact that every commercial is talking about, disease and try to protect yourself from COVID.
Every news report, Dr. Clothier, still has has you running paranoid.
Absolutely. So it's hard to figure that out, but try to. You have to go with statistical odds, and it's still statistically very unlikely to have COVID, frankly. We're still talking about low percentages in society. And so, while everybody's very scared from it, try to be as legitimately fair with your symptoms and with your likelihood as you can.
All right. Dr. Clothier, have a very blessed week.
Always great advice.
Just go out there and heal everybody.
Okay.
Everybody come see Dr.
I was waiting for you to, encourage me.
Yeah, absolutely. Go heal everybody.
Good times.
Have a blessed week, Dr. Clothier.
Thanks,
I'd
Dr.
like to.
Clothier.
Well, thank you very much.
See you next
Appreciate
Monday.
that.
All right. Bye-bye.
Very.
All right. That's Dr. Norm Clothier joining us of Family Healthcare Associates. Dr. Clothier has
Great
been
info.
our family doctor for all things family medicine from birth to death, and he can get you through it. That's
he's
for
been
sure.
With us,
He's my doctor, too.
Over 5 years, yeah. I know
Yep,
he sees
over
you
5 years.
personally. And as a matter of fact, a number of members of the crew go to him as well. So
They do.
you got to love that.
They party on. So speaking of party on, rocking and rolling and whatnotting, because I know that all happened this weekend. Let me tell you, what a weekend. Went out and had brunch on Sunday.
Right.
At the Sunview Cafe. Somebody help me. First of all, food's amazing, by the way.
Where is that?
Highly recommend
Where
it.
is it?
Stacy Road.
Okay.
Between Stacy and Waters. Next to the Black Walnut Cafe, which is really expensive.
Okay, I was going to say, I've seen the Black Walnut Cafe. So what's this called again?
Sunview.
Sunview. Okay, I have not been there.
Yeah,
Huh,
a little locally owned restaurant by a really nice owner.
Mom
super
and
nice
pop
guy.
kind
Yeah,
of thing.
very
Love
much
it.
so. Yeah, food's amazing. Pancakes get thumbs up from Chuck. I had, what did I have? I had eggs and toast, and it was pretty darn wonderful. Enjoyed that as well. But my point was this, though. Has anybody noticed that when you go out to restaurants, nobody's wearing, you walk 10 feet from your car
With a mask.
through the front door, and then as soon as you get to your table, you're taking your mask off. What are we protecting?
I mean, boy, every family member that I've gone out to eat with, friend that I've gone out to eat with, which hasn't been a lot compared to how often we normally would go out to eat, has that same conversation. Is it the exchange with the hostess or host, because that person comes into physical contact with everybody, or the closest physical contact with everybody? What I'm noticing, and we went out to dinner Friday night, and the hostess hung back a couple of tables, waited until we came up, we motioned to, and then she said, "Follow me." She never even came by the hostess stand. And we had our masks on for the, 15-foot walk maybe. She had her mask on. And I see everybody, and I would do this. I know I used to wait tables, and I tell you, JP and Corley and Charles, if I were still waiting tables, I would be really bad at it, because I know I'm horrible at it now, and that is touching my mask. And I see a lot of servers fiddling with their mask. To me, that brings the opportunity for more germs to be transferred to my food or drink, right?
Well, so surfaces, no, they're dying.
Well, but but like when they're touching, they're doing this, or they're pulling it away, pulling it down, pulling it back up, and then they grab me a glass of water.
Yeah, but it's on the surface, though.
Yeah, but still,
They're not breathing in your mouth.
Well, but they may have just coughed or something on their hand, and it may just be that amount of time. So I feel like there's more chance to contract, or a chance to contract strep throat, or a chance to contract.
Well, now those things are real.
Something else.
Well, those things are real.
Well, not the COVID's not real.
Well, no,
but,
that's from a surface standpoint, those are real fears. From COVID-19, though, at 60 seconds, it's
dead. Do y'all
dead.
see that when you're out?
Oh,
like
sure.
People touching their masks a ton. I'm guilty of it.
Yeah, so well, COVID's so ambiguous. We can leave the house, or don't leave the house unless you have to leave the house. No gathering over 10 except at Target and Walmart.
Oops, we blew that out of the water at a family gathering yesterday.
Yes, I'm just saying, like, who can lean in with any viable impressions on what to do, because the information's so all over the place. It's either convenient for someone or not convenient for anyone.
I know that a lot of people think that the masks protect you if you're wearing it, but they don't. the mask is to protect others if you
If
happen
you
to have
it. Exactly. Well, and there are people who you tell them that, it's not even worth getting into that discussion or that argument. They don't believe that.
Which is my point.
They're like, well,
right.
you don't know. But
Right.
yeah, there are a few things we know, and that's one of them.
Right. It kind of makes sense. Like you said earlier about the immune thing. I mean, there's so much debate. So it's probably best not to say anything. But if we were to list all the different variations of should we wear a mask, should we not wear a mask, do we want our immune systems to get stronger, because it's certainly not going to get stronger wearing a mask. I'll tell you that.
Oh, and I feel like
but moving
I
right
feel like
along,
my asthma
did
and
anybody-
allergies are way more jacked up wearing that mask for a prolonged
I can't
time when I
breathe
have
with
to.
it.
I
Well,
can't. Yeah.
what did you guys do this weekend? That's where that was going with. That's what I did
Oh.
this weekend.
Well,
You wore a mask.
I
Oh.
met with my siblings. We met because we were talking about, my mom's been
And
in
what
the
is the
hospital and
update on
stuff.
your mom? Has she gone to
She got
rehabilitation center?
Transferred yesterday to rehab.
So that's good. That's an
really good.
upgrade. Yay!
Though
Thank
none of
you,
us can
Lord.
be with her, the rehab center is very strict as far as allowing outsiders.
Can your
basically
dad?
in.
Can your dad?
No.
Say,
But she is on the first floor, and we can see her through the window.
oh, yay!
So that's good. So we can visit her.
Good.
But when we did go out to a restaurant, and we were eating, and I did not order this, but a waiter came by, and he said, "Who ordered a side salad?" And it was a Bloody Mary.
Well, there you have it. There you go.
I like
There's
that.
humor in that.
It is a
Nice.
food category.
It is. There you go. It's humor. It's a side salad.
It is a food category. Well, it depends.
That's funny.
Have y'all
Yeah.
seen those? Like, there's one of the best Bloody Mary bars is at Palmer's in San Marcos, Texas, and you can get a bacon wrapped pretzel stick. You can put like every olive ever known to mankind, pickles, peppers, tomatoes, shrimp. It's a meal.
Yeah, I was gonna say
It's
it's
a
a meal
meal.
replacement.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, I'll take that and then a bite of Michael's pancakes and I'm done. I'm like, okay.
You ever have one on the plane back from Cabo?
I've had a Bloody Mary on the plane back from everywhere. That's my drink. Bloody Mary or a drink of, or ginger ale are my drinks of choice on the way home from traveling.
Nice.
So,
So yes, indeed, sir.
so Chuck got a salad in a glass.
I have to ask.
That was not me. I did not order.
Oh, he did not
Now,
order
you
a
don't
salad
strike
in
me
a
as Bloody
glass.
Mary kind of guy.
that. No. I'm more
I
of
love
a
good
I'm more
Bloody
of a
Mary.
bourbon.
Oh,
whiskey.
Maker's Mark or what?
TX whiskey's good. or,
Okay.
But Bloody Marys you can have in the mornings. It's an excuse.
Right.
It is. It's
Bourbon's a
brunch.
little.
yeah,
brunch.
It's
Bourbon's not a
brunch.
morning. Bourbon's not a morning drink.
Nope,
No.
nope. Bourbon's not a more. That's a nice
Yeah,
evening
I-
drink. Put you to bed.
If bourbon is your morning drink,
Chuck, is there something
you
we
need
need
a
to
whole
know?
different discussion for that.
There's not. Well, I'll tell you, a lot going on in our Dallas local news. A lot happening around the ticker today. One of the big things is that some students are ready to protest their ISD's decision to put extracurricular activities on hold. Another group getting ready to do that is down in Judson High School. 7-man football has been canceled. It is not going to happen. And the people at Judson High School are very, very upset with that decision. But in Dallas ISD, the decision to put the extracurricular activities on hold have some students planning to protest that decision. James Madison High School football star Jaylene Record is ready for his senior season. He's committed to play at SMU next year and said football provides life-changing opportunities for some students. Quote, football makes them say, hey, I want to make an A in class so I can play, not just football, volleyball, cross country. They're all fall sports. The thing is, Dallas ISD announced Thursday that it's pausing all extracurricular activities due to the COVID-19 pandemic. In-person learning isn't scheduled to happen until at least October. So there you go. I mean, now we've got students getting ready to gear it up and go after the ISDs.
Go
It's-
Tigers.
Yeah. Well, and I think you've got a large segment. I don't, and again, I don't know what the percentages are. Y'all may know them, but you're hearing this with high school, with college. Heck, there was one of your favorites from UT. Doggone it, the name will come to me, JP. But he said if the Big 12 does not play football, if for some reason football does not happen this fall, that this gentleman, and it's somebody you've mentioned on the show a bajillion times, this gentleman at UT said, I predict that we won't have any collegiate sports for the 2021 school year. And again, we're saying that we won't have, volleyball in the spring, or we won't have, or softball or baseball. And then I think about what it does to a kid when they don't have these athletic outlets, social outlets, when you're just cutting them off from everything. It worries me. It just worries me sick. And I know I'm preaching to the choir.
The whole thing is worrisome. I mean,
Yeah.
we might as well enter into the tumbleweed zombie land era. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean,
Corley, what's your take on all that?
at least we don't have to wear
Jump
a
in
mask
there.
during
Hey,
the
she's going
zombie.
to talk. Just
At least we don't have to wear a mask during
no.
the zombie apocalypse.
Right.
Just saying.
Just jump in.
No, I want to hear
You have to
from.
cut me
I
off.
want to hear from each of you. I want to hear from each of
You
you,
know
including
that.
you, Chuck. What is the solution? Because on the one hand, give me
I
an answer.
know.
Give me an answer.
No,
The solution is
finish
go.
Finish your question.
Get out and
so-
go.
Give me an answer. Okay, so
yeah.
so
The answer is get out and go.
So what you just said, we could all assume what the implications of that means. You started off saying, it's kind of breaking down the fiber of who we are
Yes.
as a society.
Yeah, that's very eloquently put. Yes.
All right, but
yes.
then on the other hand, the other argument is it's COVID, so we have to be careful. Who wins? Where do you draw the line? I've drawn my lines, but you tell me, where do you draw the line?
And you have drawn your line at, I know you don't social distance, and I know you don't wear a mask when you're out and about. Unless you're mandated, correct?
If I were president, I would say if you're healthy, giddy up.
Bust a
Giddy
move.
up. Let's keep it going. Right when Trump announced he was pulling out of WHO, I believe in November, this virus appeared. Okay,
There's a black helicopter flying outside of the window at Venture X.
yeah, I know. If I disappear, folks, just know.
Oh, you're going to be
Just
just fine.
All right. So, but anyway, where do you draw the line? My question to you guys is, just chime in. How do you make this normacy? And
First of all, I think the Constitution applies to everybody.
Okay.
Whether you're healthy,
Well, it's
not
supposed
healthy.
to.
I think if you want to go out, you go out, is what I believe. I think you be careful. I think that if you've got, I've got an elderly sick father, I don't take him to Home Depot.
Yeah.
I find an alternative.
Well, you would take
And I took him
him.
to Harbor Freight.
You would take him to a restaurant like the one you just mentioned that you were at
Right.
Sunday. You would not take him to, and nothing against an IHOP, but that's more of a crowded place.
Right. Not going to a
or,
packed
closer.
place.
You're not going to do that. So
Plus, I'm not going to wait an hour and a half for breakfast.
well, and you also, I know you've been really good about this with your dad. You look at the parking lot and you make a
Right.
decision based on what the parking lot looks like.
So I
for
think
your dad.
I think that the line drawing is for everybody's individual situation. Hence, we have individual rights. Hence, the importance of individual rights. And so I think that the key to all of that is we don't shut things down. We let people choose. For example, Commissioner at the Big 12, Bob Bowlesby. Ultimately, our student athletes have indicated their desire to compete in the sports they love this season. It is up to all of us to deliver a safe, medically sound, and structured academic and athletic environment for accomplishing that outcome. That responsibility falls on everybody: players, staff, friends, family.
when has it not?
When it always had.
In
Believe
other words, when
Very good
when
point.
you're sick, like if my mom's sick, who's 80, I'm what 47, she's 87 years old,
Mhm.
and if she's not feeling well, I'm bringing her breakfast in bed. I'm being a little extra special. I'm saying, "Mommy, you're not going out. This kid's
Yeah, I'm
sick.
having
this
I'm
guy
having
going on."
groceries delivered for you, or the neighbor's bringing something over.
How is this different
That's a
than
very
any
good
other
point.
time in history of mankind? Someone help me.
Easy answer.
Yeah.
This isn't curable at this point. Everything else you can grab is curable. And so people, like, for example, work environments. I don't care if you're sick or not. You come to work or I fire you. I've got 3 kids at home. I got to go to work.
Right.
I'm a single parent having to take care of 3 kids. I can't not go to work because I've got a cold and I may pass that cold on to somebody. I know
Yeah.
people who have gone to work sick because they had to go to work sick, like they didn't have a choice.
Right?
Now with
Now you don't.
COVID-19,
Now you don't.
Yeah.
it's not curable.
Right. So
Well,
when I
but
was,
no, but people have been cured. It just, I think it
Well-
depends on the person, their immune system, how their system works.
Well, I think what's interesting is I have not heard how the homeless. You've not really heard a huge outbreak of COVID within the homeless environment.
you heard
Interesting
in a lot of
point.
environments,
Are there?
actually.
Huh?
But okay, but wait. So back up because I think it is when we say curable, like it's meaning never get it again, or
I mean,
Well, it's not preventable. Okay,
not
Kathy
preventable, that's
corrects
better.
me. It's
Right,
not
so
preventable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, sure, people have been cured, or they've cured themselves, or their bodies recovered, what have
they've
you.
recovered.
Okay.
It's not been preventable.
my question again is how is this? Why are we treating this? Why are we not, as Americans, thinking and saying, "Wait a minute, I've had one kid, I've had two kids. This third kid's not going to railroad me." I mean, I get it now. In other words, we have enough information. We have enough information where we can actually. I don't see any questions being asked. I mean, fear does a lot. Fear can disable.
Well, if you're looking for that,
Exactly.
the answer is fear, and it's fear driven by the media.
Well, it's fear driven by a
I mean, if that's what
political
you're
cause.
looking for.
I mean, let's get down to the bottom. Okay, does anybody here think that COVID has anything to do? And again, we know it's real. I mean, every single one of us knows somebody, correct, who has had it. I mean, I know like 13 people who have had COVID. What y'all, JP? I know you know
I do.
a number of people. Charles,
Yeah, I know a couple.
okay. Corley, do you know anybody who's had it?
Not firsthand,
Firsthand.
but
Okay.
secondhand. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So let's by a show of hands. Do you think that the panic over
Love it.
COVID has any teacher? Yeah, boo, ding, ding, ding.
Okay,
has
yeah, you
anything
quite-
to do with politics and with this election and this president?
No offense, but that was funny. I'm just
Thank
saying your
you. No,
show of
it's
hands.
hilarious.
I mean,
I know, but okay, well, you didn't raise your hand?
that's because I don't need to. You know what I
You
think.
know what the answer is.
You know what
And
I think.
We
I
all
mean,
raised our hand, and again, it's real. And God bless the people who have lost people. I had somebody very close to me, very, very, very ill. So it's real. I
Right.
get it. But again, if there weren't this election this November with a president that the other side and the media absolutely can't stand, would we have the fervor and the fear that we have right now?
Who knows? It's all about control, and that's what it comes down to. Hey, Chuck, let's throw up the
Yeah, I think the answer is
crew's
yes.
commentary. I've asked the crew to chime in on this, and let's put it up on the board and see what they're having to say in regards to the question that Corley asks. I know that Greg Rusk has already said, "Hey, man, guess what, dude? It is curable," and he's right. It's not preventable, is what everybody's afraid of. So let's see. Baloney, no virus is curable, but they are all treatable, including COVID. That's Ann Guzman. Cleo, what is interesting is young people, his in college age, are testing positive for the antibodies, but not coming down with severe symptoms. Basically asymptomatic. Let's see, who's at the top there? That's Bob Grace. I have a friend that has a daycare in North Texas, and one parent lied about the kid being sick and having 101 temperature, tried dropping the kid off because she had to go to work.
They're not well, but here's okay. Let's go back 2 years ago. I know I could not send either one of my kids to school, and not that I would, but if they ever had a fever, anything 99 or above,
Correct.
I didn't send them to school. They
Correct.
stayed home. If I would have sent them to school, the school nurse would have checked their temperature, and guess what? I would have gotten a call, Miss Ward. Your kid's sick. We've got a fever. Come on home. And then you have to. And this has always been the rule. The kid has to be without medication, 24 hours fever free.
How do I know that?
Yeah, well, because you've had a child too. So we all. So again, what's different than this?
Does the CDC have to tell you that?
No.
Are you sure, Kathy?
no.
Are you sure?
The
They have to tell
pediatrician-
me.
No, please.
I gotta have the CDC
No,
tell me.
The
I mean,
pediatrician told me that early on, and other girlfriends were like, "Hey, if this
So-
is going on, it's just kind of common mom and dad sense."
I think some folks, and this is going to sound a little brass, but I think
Do
some
tell.
folks are just don't have enough going on. This is not a no. This is a no-brainer. Like, I'm scratching my head every day. Like, seriously, someone has to tell you to stay home if you're
Sick. If you're not feeling good,
You
right?
know, if you're not feeling good, so what's the real story? I guess is all I'm saying.
It's individual responsibility and telling the government to kiss our butt. So here's the
isn't
thing.
that what America's based on?
Greg
Individual
Rusk-
responsibility?
But not telling the government. We got to tell the government and the media. Kiss
well,
it.
now you can tell them that on November 3rd, folks.
So Ann Guzman replies, correct, the virus isn't curable. I was referring to the COVID hysteria.
Oh.
That's from Greg Rusk. So that explains that. Greg, thanks for explaining that. And then let's see, what do we have? We have Gail Meeks. I know many people that have it or have gotten it with no symptoms. And so we want to thank the crew for your
And
comments.
Cleo said, especially that younger generation,
Right.
they're the ones who are asymptomatic.
Well, she put that down in the comments below about college. And also she said Army is going to play football, by the way. So
Oh,
there you
there
go.
you go.
There you go.
All
Come
right.
on down and play Texas.
I just got to say, I mean, people get the flu with no symptoms either. And okay, so I'm not saying that the coronavirus is not the coronavirus, but I'm also not saying that cancer isn't cancer, and neither is my great grandmother in the hospital who needs my human touch more than she needs me to be afraid to come and touch her.
Oh, yeah.
So I guess we can all draw our own narratives, and all I'm saying is you can't convince me that people don't have these other viruses without symptoms, thus asymptomatic. So, I mean, I don't know whether we move on or not.
Well,
but I'm not sure
we're going to move on.
gonna
Let's go on to the next story here and what's going on in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. A 28-year-old North Texas man is warning others to be careful after being hospitalized due to COVID-19. Here he is. He's had very little to no symptoms, he's very, very healthy, has had no underlying issues, no nothing, gets COVID-19, and he's saying, hey, you know what? I want young people to know you can go from being healthy to sick very quick. It's been a rough month for Jesse Ohakam and his mother Lillian. It started when Lillian was sent home after a coworker tested positive for COVID-19. She developed pneumonia before she got tested. From there, it went downhill, Jesse recalled. Days later, he said she passed out at home. Jesse said he went to help her and was not wearing a mask. His mom tested positive. Days later, he started feeling symptoms. Quote, it pins you down to the bed. You don't move. You don't want to eat. You don't want to drink, he recalled. He went to the emergency room, and they said hey, your symptoms are not severe enough to be admitted. Quote, the free test, it's like 6 to 10 days.
Wait, wasn't
but I knew that
severe
was
enough
positive.
and he's
Yeah.
pinned down to his bed?
Yeah, that's what he says.
I wonder
Lost
if
his
it's
sense of
because
smell
he's
and
younger.
taste.
Wonder if it's because he's younger.
Could be. He did get his results back on 5 days later, and they were positive. And then he was admitted to Mansfield Methodist. And he says it's kicked his rear end. And he has he's a healthy, young, black male who has nothing else going on. He says, I could not inhale past the line above 0.
Well, and again, you don't know. There are people who are in their 80s and 90s who get it. They have a rough go of it, and they survive, and they don't have any lingering after effects. But then you hear of somebody younger, healthier, no underlying issues, health issues, and they end up getting knocked down to the ground.
I wish there was a news station that talked about all the people that do not get COVID every day, because it's so far more than the ones that do. I totally get it. You know, when you hear the same thing over and over again, at some point you might begin to believe it. But I think we need to get ourselves together and really look at this thing really take inventory of ourselves. Because this is a real slippery slope, and if every story you give me of that, I want to hear one of someone not getting it.
So here I got a better one.
That doesn't sell ad space.
Do we have?
I'm sorry, that's sad.
Right, so yeah.
Do we have bigger issues? That's the question. I think we have bigger issues.
I think it's part of the bigger issue. I don't think it's the core problem, but I think it's the same way we my opinion is on the BLM movement, where everyone's being forced to believe one thing. Well, that's not America. And so when I hear so many people saying one thing, I get really weary. I don't care what it is. Like if everyone on my block is saying the same thing, I mean, unless it's like your breath stinks, but
which it does from masks. Ugh.
But you know what's
Right.
funny? People can't smell their own breath. they can smell other people's breath, but they can't smell their own.
See, I can
Well, you
smell
can.
mine.
I can with a mask.
I can with mine.
I can with a mask. I'm like,
But,
what is wrong with you?
And I
Kathy?
guess what I mean is, are there bigger problems? There are bigger problems, and Governor Abbott says that there are bigger problems. In fact, he's calling for the firing of Wiley ISD teacher over an assignment that likened the police to the KKK and slave owners. I don't know if you've seen this. Of course, this has gone national, but if you haven't, we were on Channel 4 News, their website, and it's got the assignment on there, and it shows this cartoon depicting slave owners and plantation owners to the KKK to what looks like a sheriff's deputy and then a
This
local
is
municipality.
horrible.
And the assignment compares police officers to slave owners in the KKK. And so the National Fraternal Order of Police have come out and issued a statement. The district issued an apology and removed that assignment after 400 eighth graders received the political cartoon as a part of a lesson. Now, the letter that was sent back to the Fraternal Order of Police initially said that the students that are offended by it won't have to do the assignment, but the other students will.
The parents of those students could opt out if they wanted.
Yes.
How about somebody running that out there before you send that out? I was mortified.
Yeah.
How long has she been teaching?
I'm not sure yet. We'll get to that. I'll try to find that, or maybe check if you can Google that for us and see if you can find that.
That's a great question, but it doesn't matter. I don't care 50 years or 5 months.
So
You shouldn't.
Twitter comes out and says, I say Twitter, Greg Abbott on Twitter says a teacher in a Texas public school comparing police officers to the KKK is beyond unacceptable. It's the opposite of what we must be taught. The teacher should be fired. I'm asking the Texas Education Agency to investigate and take action. So this becomes a bigger question at this point. Does Wiley ISD consider themselves a more local government, allow us to manage our own people on a local government level, or do they cower down to the governor and say, okay, you're fired? Boy, that's a bigger question, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, the lower you get in municipality, I think people, well, in Texas, of course, they certainly want their own rule. But I also can't let this one go without saying how, she's probably, there are probably so many classrooms across the country where this is happening and it's happening under our noses, and worse things than this, people being abducted, children being transferred in and out of the state, and it's happening,
which is huge in Texas.
How apropos this story, and I'm not saying this is a bad, I'm not saying, let me say up front, okay, it's bad to say that the police are KKK, all right, but I think right now what we need, because that's fueling an election, that's fueling something that we really have enough of, and it's not the big point. It really isn't. The big point is being able to think right now, because I think we need a lot of coffee before November 3rd, and so that we can make the right decisions. Because I mean, if you all can't feel it, I feel like I'm being pushed. All right, that's all I got.
So Dallas Stars kick off, and the playoffs begin for them as they take on the Colorado Avalanche. And what a win for the Dallas Stars. They win Game 1 in no small fashion. That's right. Game 1 carried the day for Dallas. Dallas had a huge game. Chuck, you said it was what, 5-3?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, 5-3. 5 goals scored for the Dallas Stars, while the Colorado Avalanche could not match the pace of the offense by the Stars. So the question is, into Game 2, does the defense tighten up in the Stars and the goalie get it together, or do the Colorado Avalanche take Game 2? We're going to find out. Tune in as the Stars get ready to take on the Colorado Avalanche. How about the Dallas Mavericks?
Dallas. Luka.
Oh, Luka. Now,
He's
is that one of those things?
amazing.
Oh, it
Luka
was.
Doncic. He is just amazing.
It's Luka.
It's Luka. Yeah, there you go. So Dallas Mavericks pull out a huge win in overtime. That's right. In fact, what's funny is the score in overtime was 14-12, and the Mavericks win 135-133 to tie the series up 2-2. You can catch Game 5 tomorrow at 6 p.m. and as the Mavericks and the Clippers go at it. How about that? That's a lot of fun, huh?
He's crazy talented. I think, it's one of those things. I wish just for a split second we could fast forward to, 15, 20 years from now and see what kind of numbers, especially if he stays healthy, which
Right.
I would imagine they're going to do everything to make sure he stays healthy. That I would love to see what kind of numbers 15 years from now he's already put up on the board.
How old
He's
is he?
20, maybe?
Young
20,
guy.
20, I mean, brand new. I'll look that up. I want to say 2021, maybe.
Chuck, did you find any of that
Maybe.
research?
No, I couldn't find the teacher's name or anything.
Okay, they
Just-
probably haven't listed any of
Well,
that.
and Greg asks, does Wiley ISD get state funds? And he said they should risk losing those funds if they don't fire that teacher. And he put teacher in quotes. So I think, it's a shame we never know where Greg stands. And he said the only sport he wants to talk about is T-ball. So
So can you see how
he's
that?
so shy.
So let's say they
Greg
fire
Rusk,
him.
by the way, not
Yes,
Greg
we
Abbott.
we love Greg. Yeah, yes, Greg Rusk, who's a member of the crew. Greg Abbott is too, but got to specify which Greg.
So JP and Kathy, do you, after that happens, let's say they fire him, do other states, does that become precedent, and then other states go to root out, because of this incident, they go to, this won't mean to use the word witch hunt again, but where does it end? Y'all help me out. I am really curious.
Well, I'm not in favor
What do you think?
of state government leaning into my local government.
Well, I
I don't want the governor firing teachers.
Well, I want the school districts to take care of their own. I mean, I obviously all about local control. I want the school boards to take care of issues like that. But then I go back to the fact of what's so sad is so few people turn out to vote in those school board elections. Literally, out of 1 million people, several thousand decide on who those school board members are. True. And you know what? They're making decisions about two of your favorite things. Mentioning this to the crew, your kids and your money.
Yep.
So you might want to get out in those May elections for school board in your local municipality and vote.
Well, just get involved for sure. Engaged
Yep.
is important. All right. Things that make you go, and this is something that I found extremely interesting the other day in the responses that we had received. And so lots of fun. Chuck, what makes you go,
So I was thinking, if there's a tea manufacturer, do its employees get coffee breaks?
That's a good question, Chuck. Do you give tea manufacturer, like Lipton,
Right.
do they give coffee breaks?
Exactly.
Or are they tea breaks?
Exactly.
Or are they
We have
pee breaks?
It's afternoon tea.
Oh, do they do afternoon tea?
Well, now in
Exactly.
London, that's a big thing.
Well,
Now,
it is.
you have your afternoon
It
tea
is.
time.
My mother had afternoon tea.
Oh, and I love
and
that.
Is it milk or cream for your tea?
Well, that depends on
Depends
what
on the
your mood.
household.
What
Depends on
mood
the
are you in?
household.
It's always milk.
Oh, listen to him. It's
See,
always milk.
I just, and I'm not
Ask
in my
English. Ask somebody
tea.
from England.
What about somebody from Scotland?
Oh, I was to say, I thought you meant personally.
English-
Personally,
English
for me,
is
I'm not
tea.
I'm
I mean,
not
it's,
cream
milk.
or milk in tea.
Milk
So,
and tea.
Milk
Milk
and
and
tea.
tea.
You don't put half and half. You don't put cream. It's milk.
Milk.
Milk, huh? I like heavy cream.
Yeah. See, I don't like
That's
anything in
coffee.
tea.
That's for
In
coffee,
tea,
though. I'm a
except for
heavy
maybe
We're
some
at a tea
lemon.
manufacturer's place.
Maybe one little sugar cube. Yeah.
So, what makes you go,
I don't know. Didn't we answer this question? What did I say
Oh,
last
but gosh,
week?
there are so many. Only one thing makes you go,
No, I was trying to think. I had a hard time. I think a bajillion things during the day make me go, Okay. This makes me go, because we did this yesterday after we had a big send-off party for my stepsister who's moving out to the West Coast. It was, I think they do this on like Prime and Netflix, I think Hulu as well, where you watch a movie and then it said, if you liked this movie, then we recommend these movies for you. And my husband and I saw a movie, and I'm not a big scary movie fan, but for whatever reason, I've kind of been in the kick the last few weekends to watch scary movies, only during the day, let the record show. And so there was this movie, and it was okay. I mean, it was free. It was okay. And then it recommended another movie to us highly. And literally, I would give just about anything to get that hour and a half back of my life, because it was like the worst movie ever. So how can they go from us watching a pretty decent free movie
right?
to them highly recommending something that is so bad? I think it got 30-something% on Rotten Tomatoes, and it had like 2 reviews. And I was like, anyway, so yeah, things that make you go, how the heck did Prime Video or whatever platform we were watching on choose that movie as the second movie for us to watch?
Well, Gail says, why do you park on driveways and drive on parkways?
Oh, good one, Gail.
That's a good one. Yeah. Why do
I
we
that.
park in driveways and drive on parkways?
Witty.
There you go.
What?
Well, I don't know. If you ever have you ever been in the traffic on 75 going?
You feel like you're in a parkway?
Oh,
I
Yeah,
guess
been there,
point
done
well
that.
taken.
I can
So-
drive pretty easily on my driveway.
You could. Corley, things
So-
that make you go,
Yeah, I've got two. First one is, so if we lie to the government, it's a felony. But if they lie to us, it's politics.
oh,
Things that make you go,
These are you go.
bum. Oh,
That's a good one.
Yes. Yes,
That's a good one.
indeed.
Well, and then Fred
That's a
wants to know,
big
you put
one.
milk in your sweet tea?
No, he's talking about something.
Maybe it's a new thing.
I think they're
Yeah,
talking about
milk is good in
like
tea.
an
It's very
Earl
good.
Grey,
Right.
like a breakfast
There you
tea,
go.
like some kind of a stronger hot tea.
All right, so what's your second one, Corey?
Good morning, Shay Drake.
Everyone appreciates your honesty until you're honest with them.
right.
But I'm bummed.
Yeah,
Things that make you go,
how many times have you been like, somebody's like, seriously, be honest with me, and you're like, okay, and then
like,
and then you
okay,
can, and then they
you-
give you the cold shoulder, and they kind of ghost you. Oh, I know that term. And you're like,
Why are they
they asked me. They
Well,
asked me.
I love this one. Why is there an expiration date on sour cream? Isn't it expired milk?
Okay. Well, and same with buttermilk. Like I went to, and I'm the only person in my family that likes buttermilk. Literally, like my kids, my husband, they gross out to even see the buttermilk in my glass. They're just like, that's so nasty. And the other day, I remember throwing out buttermilk, and one of the kids was like, "What? Why are you throwing it out?" And I said, well, it got pushed to the back of the refrigerator and I didn't drink it in time. They're like, Mom, it's already jacked up, sour, old milk the day you bought it. What's the difference now?
Yeah, why are
And
you
I'm like,
complaining now?
well, I don't know.
Well, and you got to love this, right? So, Cleo says, in Frisco, they put an email telling parents it's a privacy violation to watch online class instruction after parents complained about liberal classroom indoctrination. Now, that makes me go,
Interesting. Who said that one?
Cleo did,
Cleo did, of
replying
course,
to
yes.
Greg Rusk. So, yeah, very, very interesting.
I hear you,
Interesting
Lisa.
question.
Thank you, Lisa.
So, yeah. And yes, she loves you, Corley.
Love her too.
There's availability there. You know, dinner. This could be a JP Kathy and the Crew connection. The Love Boat. Oh yeah, bring it on, baby.
I'm sorry, Lisa. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, Lisa. I'm sorry. So things that make me go, People driving in their car with their masks on. Are they afraid of their own oxygen?
We keep saying this, and I don't. Or like a young kid was in my neighborhood the other day riding his bike with a mask on, not with other friends, not even with his family, which I don't get that.
kid.
Now, unless his home is supporting Joe Biden, and Joe Biden has said that everybody needs to wear a mask anytime they walk out of their house. Well, I'm sorry, Joe. Even if somehow you win the presidency, I am not wearing a mask while I walk my puppy by myself in my neighborhood. That's ridiculous.
Well, and
I've got one.
yeah.
So I see people wearing gloves, right? And then they pick up food and they feed themselves with the gloves.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
What are you protecting yourself from?
Well, and the glove
Yeah.
thing doesn't. I mean, that's
Yeah.
what's so funny. They're touching everything. It doesn't protect you from anything.
Again, where do you draw the line?
Yeah, where do you draw the line? Things that make you go, Yeah, you got to love that stuff. All right. So, nationally,
Oh, I like that one. Sorry.
which one?
Locks on 7-Eleven doors.
Are they not open 24/7?
24/7?
Yeah, they are. Well, Whataburger, when I worked at Whataburger in high school, we had to drill locks on the doors because we closed for Christmas Day because Whataburger never closed. And we finally,
I guess,
the
yeah,
CEO had come down and
back
said,
in the day, everything was closed on like Christmas and Thanksgiving and
yeah,
stuff like that. Not
1989.
anymore.
Yeah,
Not
we had to actually
anymore.
drill a lock onto the door.
to be able to lock it down.
Yeah, because
for
we
that
didn't have
particular
locks
day.
on it.
Yeah.
So very interesting. All right. Nationally, a lot is going on. I'm going to kick us off with this. And this is something that is just beyond me. I don't get it. California looters snatch firefighter's wallet, drain his bank account during massive California blaze.
And first of all, and our prayers, absolutely, in our hearts, and our prayers are just, our hearts are in pain. We're sending prayers to everybody who's dealing with these California wildfires that happen every year. I don't know if we have enough time for me to say a side note of if the tax dollars, the unbelievable tax dollars that these people are paying in California, if that actually went towards clearing out the brush,
Right.
then we wouldn't have these
And
wildfires
the
like
dead
we
trees.
do. Yeah, so that's a whole nother story for a whole nother day.
We know who's running that.
Yeah,
State.
Right.
yeah. Look who's running that state. So, yeah, but this is heartbreaking that you've got this going on, and you've got these fighters literally risking their life. I mean, I don't know
Right.
how they do it, and then somebody steals their wallet.
And drains their bank account.
That's horrible.
And this is better. You ready for
Horrible.
this? It's not like he dropped it, like at a 7-Eleven. This is in the evacuation zone. These are looters going into the Santa Cruz Mountains in Northern California, in the evacuation zone, where there should only be firefighters, right? And healthcare workers, I'm assuming, to take care of firefighters who inhalate smoke or what have you, right? Or inhale. I guess I can just say inhale smoke. But no, this is in the evacuation zone. And here's a direct quote. It's unfortunate, it's sickening that one of our fire ground commanders, while out taking care of business and directing firefighting crews, somebody entered his department vehicle and stole his wallet and drained his bank account.
Whatever the sentence is on that, there should be an extra maybe decade added onto it. I mean, these are people who are, it's like kicking someone when they're down. Being from Brooklyn, you don't do that. You have a straight fight.
Right.
I just think this is wrong.
Yeah, Jim Hart, the county sheriff in Santa Cruz, said, "I can't imagine a bigger lowlife." Hart said of the wallet theft suspect, who remained at large and unidentified, the DA is going to hammer him. It just doesn't make any sense. It's crazy.
Gosh,
It's an
come
evacuation zone. Stay out. Let these guys do their job.
They caught him.
No, not yet. They're still looking. He's at large, it says. But when the DA gets him,
They're
They're gonna
going to
hammer
look
him.
at him good.
so that's one of the national stories that stood out in my mind, because here we've got people going in trying to preserve our history through geology and geography, right? And protect people.
And save lives and
protect
homes
people.
and animals and everything.
Yeah, someone goes into his car and steals his wallet.
Yeah, just horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what about you guys? What stuck out in your mind nationally, news-wise?
Corley, what do you have?
I mean, mine was Trump coming down with the plasma deal, which was kind of controversial because they say he said that the FDA was holding back, but I just think that we're so advanced. I was trying to say last week, we're so advanced. I don't know. I just feel a little bit duped right now. I think we there's more information out there.
Duped in what way?
I just want people to just be calm.
Duped in what way? Yeah, people to be calm. That's not going to happen.
Right. Yeah. So duped in the way that we have medical doctors saying this doesn't work, that doesn't work, and all I can say is if lives are at stake and it's not making things worse, why wouldn't you use it? It's like the cartoons when I was a kid. They'd say, don't go in that door, don't go in that door, and that's the door where the stake was or whatever. So anyway, that's all. That's and so what does that mean? That means that that again there's not enough civil discourse going on.
Right.
What's the implications? We're losing something very, very serious, and I hate to be groundedly serious like this, but everything just seems to come back to that for me. I can't.
But your big
Can't
national
go
news
around
is,
it.
hey, we've got plasma. We're using blood.
Plasma.
Yeah.
Someone's doing something.
Right.
And it just happens to be the president of the United States. Like him or don't like him, he's saying, no, we're going to do something now.
Right.
And that's what I would do if
Well,
I was
he's
a,
action-oriented.
I'm a father, right?
Yes.
Someone comes to my house or something happens, I'm going to do something.
Yes, exactly.
I don't care what it is. And so
Right.
we're all standing around like, like with our fingers up
Well,
our
the
nose.
the
Come on, give me a-
DNC.
Our nose.
That was the DNC. Yeah, we are a family show.
I wanted to help that out.
Anyway.
Kathy likes my butt. We stick our fingers up our nose.
Good night. Do
Oh, do you want to go to sleep?
DNC,
It's not time to go to
the
bed.
DNC was everything was just doom and gloom, no solution,
Right.
and they're so angry with a president who has kept his promises. Well, actually, first and foremost, he has kept America first and put Americans first, which is what he promised to do. He's kept his promises. He is very solution and action oriented. You know, it's interesting, and he's planning on speaking every single night at the convention this week.
That's
I
correct.
love it.
That's good.
I love it.
That's
Kathy,
correct.
you
Bring
said
it
something.
on.
I'll say real quick. You
Yeah.
said something that I think a lot of people don't understand what it really means and what's behind it. So, make America great again, and you said he did. There's a storyline to that, and what that means, what that meant for him when he went into office, and it all starts back in '89. When we went, everyone understands that we went global at some point, and then as we're getting towards 21st century, towards 2000, we really got global, and businesses everywhere. So if you can just think of it in those terms, well, we sent jobs out of the country, and what's the So what does that mean? That means that people here aren't getting jobs, and so what President Trump was saying to do was to bring back those jobs. That was his platform, if you all
Right.
remember. Whereas Hillary did not have a platform and solution. She was just saying that he was not good. Anyway, that's a great point. Make America great, because I think explaining that is super, super critical to, I think, everyone. Everyone needs to kind of hear what's behind that.
Well, we can say it, but a lot of people are blue in or you can say it till you're blue in the face, and they're not going to react.
Right.
They are not going to hear words you say.
So, any other national news stories? Did anybody pick up? I had my national news story.
Mine was about that new couple in the Gulf Coast.
Oh yeah, let's talk about that, Chuck.
Marco and Laura.
Yeah,
Oh my goodness! Yes.
Yes,
yeah. I
they're
mean, that's
coming
pretty
in.
serious stuff.
Yes, I was
Oh,
like,
yeah,
new
yeah.
couple. I'm like, wait, is
They're
this
saying that
National
she could be
Enquirer?
building to a Category 3 at this point. Laura could be.
Oh, really?
See,
Yes.
now, I had heard that they weren't going to be as dangerous as they were, but I heard that. I didn't read it. I haven't
Oh,
vetted
okay, so
that
yeah,
yet.
Greg Abbott has said that he's got 1,000 DPS troopers now
Ready to
on
go.
call and ready to go. They've got they've got all of their boats, and they've got a rescue, an intense DPS water rescue team, which I did not know about. I would love to get DPS and talk to them about that. It's almost like a Navy SEAL type of team, ready to hit the waters as well. It's been being raised very much so to a Category 3, and as they brace the Texas coast to receive Laura and her boyfriend. So
It's
yeah.
not just Texas; it's Louisiana as
Oh,
well.
also
And
South
Louisiana's
Carolina.
gonna get
Well, and also
smashed.
Orange Beach, Alabama.
Yep.
So yeah, it's all up and down the Gulf Coast.
Oh yeah.
But Texas, where I live, is preparing
Oh yes.
for that
Yes.
for sure. So,
But it looks
Texas,
like-
where you live, we all live in Texas.
well, but I don't live in South. Or what did you say?
Oh, I was just
Wherever
gonna say,
he's at, I don't live there.
Marco's.
Yes,
gonna
you know,
skirt
I'm going to tell you, you're Zinger Joe Bob today, and I'm going to come get you. I've been nice because you haven't been feeling good.
I know, I haven't been feeling good.
But
All
I'm-
of a sudden
you're-
the
you're-
caffeine kicked in.
You're
Well, there
losing
you
the
go.
you're losing the sympathy. I'm telling you.
Well, and the only thing I wanted to add, just as far as the national, I'm so tired of it. The police got to the point where this weekend in Portland, they were like, hey, you know what? You can be arrested. Basically, they're tweeting out, you know what? If you're engaged in criminal activity, you can be arrested. But it's almost like the police there are like, you know what? Throw urine-filled condom balloons on each other, rip each other apart, and then we'll come and clean up after you when you're done being wild animals. And no offense to wild animals. This has gotten so ridiculous that this has gone on so long, and we're so disgusting that we've got literally, I mean, police officers, and I'm reading verbatim, confiscated a bucket of condoms filled with an unknown liquid and water bottles full of what was believed to be urine near the protest. Now, and this is just a disgusting part of it. There are still people being beat up. There's still people being thrown bombs and different things at them. At some point, can we just go back to the business of being civilized and living?
Yeah, I'm ready.
I'm ready too.
Does that? You look at Portland. Does it look like a third world country when you watch?
Yeah,
news
Portland
clips?
is ridiculous. You need to go and clean that up and get done with it.
Oh,
I don't know why
gosh.
we're playing with these people.
That's just so sad.
No offense, but Portland.
Yeah, but people are tired of it.
I'm only kidding.
Yeah, but
No.
even the people in Portland are tired of it, though.
Well,
No, like, come on, man.
well, like in New York, you've got to. Literally, people are leaving New York by the droves because guess what has taken, now that they've cut back on the police and they're defunding parts of the police and took away the new class and all this stuff, guess what's come back? Gangs.
Well, of course
The
they have.
serious
family
bad
said the
gangs that
gangs, yeah.
Giuliani and his folks got rid of way back in the day. They're back large and in charge. And so there are people who are like, goodbye, abandoning apartment leases, leaving cars behind. They're getting out of Dodge. And I bet they're coming to Texas. So if you come to Texas, vote red, vote Republican, because that's how we keep Texas strong and vibrant.
Well,
Soapbox.
She said.
What she said.
I'll have what she's having.
So, heading now over to campaign news. Here we go.
RNC.
Victory 2020. What's happening? Well, the Republican National Convention kicks off today, in fact.
Yes.
If it were me and I was in charge of that, I'm trying to get Diamond and her sister to come
Diamond
and
and Silk. Oh, I'm sure they'll have some part of it.
They need to be speaking.
They're amazing. I'm sure they will. They
need to be speaking.
they are surrogate speakers a lot of times at events online for the president, and they are phenomenal. I would also have Kim Klasick, I believe is how you say her last name. Right. I still want to get her on our show. I would absolutely have her on. I know they've got all of President Trump's children who will be speaking. Melania will be speaking. Who else? Nikki Haley will be speaking. Who else? Oh gosh, I just saw a list last night, but they've got some great folks that are going to be talking, and I'm anxious to see. Especially one thing we know will be very different. You'll hear from President Trump every night, and I think that's great. That's one of his strengths. But I wonder how it will look different, because I was really bored to tears last week. And I felt it was kind of like all wah, wah, like Debbie Downer, the SNL. SNL. Everybody's like, oh, and everything's great, and I just got a new puppy.
Right.
Oh, do you know 20,000 puppies aren't spayed and neutered every day? Wah, wah.
Right.
The character.
Right.
That's what I felt like the DNC was, like a long, very sad infomercial. That's it. There you go. So I wonder how the Republicans will look different.
Gonna rock it.
Well, I think number one, the approach is very patriotic.
Bingo,
number one,
bingo.
I think it's going to continue to be, for him, it's always been make America great again.
Yes.
And now it's time to keep America
Yep.
great. And so I think patriotic is going to be a key focal point for the RNC, for the Republican Party.
So patriotism will be on display
Oh,
loud and proud.
I absolutely believe so.
JP, are they going to keep under God in the Pledge of
Oh,
Allegiance?
you better.
Because
Or
it's
they
not.
better, or I'll become a libertarian.
There you go.
They better, I'm moving to
It's not the
libertarian.
pledge without under God.
It's not the pledge.
Amen. Elizabeth
most
said that Dan Crenshaw is speaking too, Congressman Crenshaw, so he'll knock it out of the park.
So lots of great warriors to make an appearance on Monday night, right? So Matt Gaetz, representative of Florida, Jim Jordan of Ohio. These guys are absolute warriors for President Trump. And so look for that to be big speeches tonight from those two guys. It'll also feature some state and local officials tonight as they get ready to kick off the Republican National Convention, including Nicholas Sandman, the Covington Catholic High School student. You remember he won?
Oh, yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So he's got a great message.
Yep.
I mean, I got goosebumps just talking about what his message is going to be. I mean, I'm very, very excited.
Ann Guzman said the lady who was released under the prison reform, she'll be on. So I think you're going to see a lot of solution-oriented, here's what we've already done, here's what we can do with 4 more years kind of a thing. You know?
Absolutely. Tim Scott out of South Carolina. He's going to make his appearance
Nice.
this evening. Steve Scalise is going to make his appointment or his show today. He'll be there as well. Of course, Natalie Harp will also be on hand. And so, we're hoping that Kim Classic
I love her.
will be
I
on as
love
well.
her.
And then, of course, the McCloskeys, and you've just got Donald Trump Jr. So great lineup for the first night. And again, I think that everything you're going to be hearing is going to be patriotic. The theme
Yeah.
will be patriotism over the next 4 days.
Thank goodness, because we are America. And, it's almost, we talk about, we've not used this term today, but we are talking a lot. We talked a lot today about COVID shaming. If you're not doing what somebody else thinks you should do, all that kind of stuff. There has been, a lot of rhetoric out there that it's not good to be, it's a bad thing to be patriotic. And I grew up and I was taught, and as were y'all, that it's God, country, and family, and you've got to make sure you've got that patriotism and love for your country. When did loving your country become a bad thing?
When praying went out of schools.
Yeah, when you took God out of everything.
But yeah, and with all this going on, one thing that hasn't been said, which I would love to talk about at some point, is that there's a malnourishment of spirituality in America right now. That apparently not in my party, but hang on a minute. But I think tonight I believe the Republican Party is the positive party. For some reason, there's always a bright side, and if you're bright, if you can hear me out there, and if you have will and power and hope, come on over to our side. We want you.
We welcome you with open arms.
Interesting you say come over to our side, right? So what's Joe Biden going to release tonight preempting the convention, right? How about the fact he's going to introduce Republicans for Biden? Of course, you got a couple dozen former GOP members of Congress. Now, you're hearing me, right?
Oh, yeah.
Former GOP members of Congress, headlined by former Arizona Senator Jeff Flake. Okay, why are they former?
Did you say he was a flake?
Well, that's his name. He's a flake, all right. But
there you go, pun intended.
There is a reason why they're former. Because truly the president came in and cleaned house on rhinos.
I guarantee you every single one of the people, and I haven't looked at the full list that you're referring to, but I guarantee you every single one of those, Trump came out, supported their opponent publicly, went and campaigned for them, or sent surrogates to campaign for them. So are they, look at like Romney and Kasich and stuff. It's that big, and I can't stand this in politics. If you're going to be in politics, you've got thick skin, and you either believe in what you believe in or you're all about yourself. You know what? You lost. Move on. Deal with it. Kasich.
Did you just do this?
Yes, because it makes me crazy.
She did.
You should have seen me with Kasich. Should have seen me with Kasich the other night.
You're tough.
Oh, I was standing up wagging my finger.
You got the deuces, baby.
Oh, I was wagging my teacher finger at the TV.
Look at you. You go to town, girl.
So that's an interesting point. Dealing with the GOP, I learned something from Mark Reed. And he was saying,
who's the Collin County Republican Party chairman. Actually, he'll be on, I think, next week.
Nice. We were talking one day, and he was saying how there are statesmen, and then there are politicians. And he said he says to be a statesman, or he wants to be a statesman.
Sure.
And it just warmed my heart.
Yeah,
of course,
absolutely.
You can see the difference clearly when it's put like that.
Yeah.
Yes,
and there'll be plenty more to talk about as we get ready to kick off the RNC convention today.
Oh yeah.
So,
yay!
But something fun. I have seen
the
so
RNC
many.
Convention's fun. Come on, right?
Something less serious, something funny. Now, if Diamond and Silk get on, then that's going to be hilarious, and I can't wait for that.
They're so great.
Hopefully, they'll get them on. They've got to get them on. Talk about inspiring the country. Goodness gracious.
They call it.
So we dropped some memes on Chuck last night about going back to school. How many of you have been on your social media and you have seen these memes come through? And I mean, for me, I stop and I'm like, yeah, and it's hilarious. And I start dying laughing. Chuck, I don't know if you can throw some of those up there on the screen for everybody to see. But I tell you, this is the way parents are feeling and families are feeling. And there's not a whole lot of humor. So I can't see that, Chuck, because I'm blind. That's why my eyeglasses are as big as Coke bottles. And so I don't know if we can throw it up on the big screen up here. But I mean, some of these memes, I just died laughing. One of them was a boy and a girl. Here we go. This one is hilarious. That stupid. This is the sister sitting in the chair. That stupid teacher doesn't know shit about math, history, or English.
Oh, this is
sure.
hilarious.
Yeah, I'm sure I smelled vodka on her breath.
Cheap
vodka. Stop it, Carol. Mom is trying her best.
I saw that's hilarious.
I mean, if you're seeing memes out there about going back to school and kids having to be taught by their parents, send them in to us at jpkathyandthecrew3@gmail.com. That's jpkathyandthecrew3@gmail.com. We want your memes. So please send them in. Chuck, what about the next one? I think I had one that gave a school schedule. Did anybody else throw any of these memes up? Did you guys find any?
Did you get mine last night? I sent some pretty funny ones.
Well, throw one of Kathy's up there. I mean, this has got to, I mean, these blow my mind, but they're so descriptive on what's going on. And I know it because I talked to my sister. And my sister, so in Wisconsin, they're saying the whole year you're going to stay home virtually.
Are you already?
Yeah,
They're
already.
saying that?
Yeah.
This is one of my favorites.
There we go. And just like, go ahead, Kathy. This is yours. You take it.
And just like that, homeschooling became mandatory. So there you go. So everybody who's always, every legislative session out there bashing homeschoolers and saying, oh, and homeschooling's bad and this, that, and the other. Huh.
I like
and this
this
is
one.
great. I know. So this one is, and you've got Julie Andrews from Mary Poppins, and then you've got Carol Burnett. What was her character's name in Annie? You know, she's all drunk and
I don't miss
so
something.
It says working moms who are trying to homeschool kids and work. Day one, you know, supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
Okay. Move on.
And then day 5, she's got a big old bottle of bourbon. Thank you.
No. Spill your coffee. Yeah, spill coffee in his lap. We're not encoring. He's lost his mind. Yeah, you've lost your mind.
I know all the words to that music.
So, Chuck, bring up my daily schedule. Oh, this year's school yearbook photo. Yeah.
SpongeBob SquarePants pajamas. I saw that and I thought that was hilarious.
So, again, you're out there. You're the crew. You see one you like, send it to us at jpkathyandthecrew3@gmail.com. That's jpkathyandthecrew3@gmail.com. Get that schedule up there, Chuck, because the schedule one I sent you, it's in parts, 3 parts, is hilarious. I sent you that by email. That one's hilarious. It shows what a day looks like in trying to teach your child, and I just couldn't stop laughing. I mean, it was so darn funny, but it's true. I'm watching it going, absolutely, this is true. And so a lot of schools kicked off on Monday. Today.
Yes, heck, Plano, we're in our 3rd week.
Yeah, so this was funny. Carl Osborne put this up.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see. That's not the first one, I don't think. I don't think so. Walking to town in hopes of catching virus and being quarantined. No, this is going to be the end one.
That's later
That's
in the day.
last. That's the end of the day. That's where a parent gets to. And so, yeah, you got to.
While he's pulling this one up, let's give a shout out to Chance and
Shay Drake.
And they're both on
member of our
feed
family.
right now,
That's right.
Members of our family and the crew. Had a blast out here. Met some great folks. Actually meeting with a potential new sponsor or show member, a gentleman out here, Professor Carlos, today after our show. Love it out here at Venture X.
Love it. Well, I want to thank Leon as well.
Y'all.
Leon and his wife.
Just as down to earth, just good people.
Yeah.
Just
so I want to
good
thank
people.
them for what they've done as well, and Chance putting that all together. Him and Garrett cooking hamburgers and hot dogs.
Thank y'all so much. It was
and
fantastic.
then Shay, by the way, came up on his own. He didn't get paid, just came up to help out.
And we love him. And we're hoping Shay does a cooking show.
Well, or a family nostalgic show. No, I'm way excited about that.
That would be awesome.
Way excited
here we
about that.
go.
Okay, so again, that's not the very beginning. That's going to be midday. So there were 3 of them I sent you.
It's
so
a full day.
So here's how. While Chuck's doing that, I'm going to kind of preface it.
Next time, include all of them in the same email.
Well, but I thought you wanted them individually. You said.
Just
Are you chastising me on the air?
I'm just letting you know.
I'm calling
HR.
your mother.
HR.
Joan, pick up the phone. I need you to come over and talk to Charles, Joan. So, anyways, so it starts off with, hey, the day started off bright. Everybody's up. Computers are up and running, and we can't get online. So I call the school, and I tell the school, hey, I can't get online. The sign-in's not working. School says, oh, okay, let me do that. So they fix it. They get online. So this is like 8 o'clock. 8:05, they're online to the school. 8:07, or 8:10, something along those lines. They're back to work, right? Time to get work started. So they bring it up. First assignment comes up. Parent says, I can't help you. I don't know what to do with this. So at 8:20, we're calling the school, trying to figure out how to work the first assignment. Do you have a teacher available? I need help. So at some point during this timeline, right, the school district stops answering the phone calls coming from that number because the dad won't stop calling, calls his wife at work and says, I need you to call the school because they won't answer my calls anymore. So she calls, they answer the phone, they find out who she is, they hang up the phone because they don't want to take any more calls from her.
I don't have the morning one.
Well, they'll just kick us off at 11:30. I've caught us up to 11:30.
Imagine the school, the amount of calls tech support in the different districts are receiving. They received one from me before school started, just about registration.
So by
I'm sure
11,
they flagged me.
so at 11:30 they finally start their first assignment, right? So at 11:45, guess what time it is? It is time for lunch. So we're taking our first assignment didn't start till 11:30. Time for lunch at 11:45. 12:30 restart first assignment. Okay. 12:35 read 3 chapters to help answer 2 questions. 12:40 figured I'm either being played or they have been falsifying their report card. 12:45 practicing disguising my voice so I can call the school again. 1300 didn't work. 13:15 scraping my kid is a terrific student sticker off of all vehicles.
Yeah, my kid is an honor student at no longer.
1400 beginning to think wife isn't coming home. 1415 decided to have an early release day. 1430 walking to town in hopes of catching virus and being quarantined. 1600 arrested for egging school and drinking in public. 1615 released and given a ride home to maximize punishment. 1800 wife gets home, couldn't find ink, pretty sure her hair and nails are done.
You know what's funny? For some reason, this reminds me of something, and I know we're running out of time today, but that there are some schools, and there's one school district in particular, I can't remember what state, I sent it to y'all, where they're having fire drills remotely still. And there's like a picture of a kid going, as they put up the diagram of where do you leave to go for an electronic fire drill.
Yeah, that's funny.
That's things that make you go,
So the last one before we end off and get the music going, I sent my kid next door with a packed suitcase. They called asking why. I said he's homeschool foreign exchange student. Was that one yours, Chuck?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was funny. That's really funny. Send your kid next door with that suitcase. Foreign exchange student. I'll send you a monthly stipend. That's funny. Well, all right, I'll tell you what a full day. On Wednesday, we want to hear from the crew. Send something in. Let us know what you're thinking.
Congressman Taylor will be in studio.
Yeah, we got a big Wednesday, right?
Big Wednesday.
Yeah, we have Congressman Taylor coming on. So very, very excited about that. We have Randy Travis that's going to be coming on with us here this week.
Randy Travis,
Randy
the singer.
Travis. In
You're
fact, I'm
asking yourself that.
I'm going to talk to him tonight and see if I can't get him to send us his single over. If we can start playing his single for the show, leading up to the show.
That would be awesome.
So we got to get permission. I got to figure out how to do that. So if you know how to
so
get permission
cool.
from Facebook so they don't cancel that, because we've got it from Randy Travis himself, then you got to figure
Facebook
that
may
out.
be like, we don't care.
So
Corley, that's up to you, man. That's
But,
all you, Corley.
I think we'll be okay.
yeah. But one of the things we
He'll be here
definitely
on
want,
Wednesday.
one of the things we definitely want is for you to get out there and share us and follow us and like us. Make this thing a big deal. We want it to be a big deal. We want 100,000 followers by June the 1st, but we need 1,000 right now going forward on YouTube. So get over to YouTube. What's that link on YouTube, Chuck?
Yeah.
I have a link tree thing.
So it's on the link tree thing. Okay.
What does that mean?
I don't know.
No,
So
I
on
don't know what
YouTube,
that
I think we're
means.
JP Kathy and the crew
I
on
believe we
YouTube.
are.
There's no and.
Okay, so it's JP Kathy Crew.
JP Kathy the crew.
Okay, JP Kathy the Crew on YouTube.
Yes, and we need
Yes.
we need
All right.
more followers. If people can help us out with
Subscribe
that would be
over there and start
fantastic.
watching.
We're on there right now. Yay.
Yeah, subscribe over there and start watching. We also have a link tree. I do know what Chuck's talking about. We are centralizing all of our social media. Chuck will put out the link again so that we can tag it and go sign up for all
It's
of it.
in the top right-hand corner. It's right above your head, John.
Right above my head.
You can point up there. Say it's right there.
Right there. There you go.
And that looked great.
That look great. Point above my head. There we go. It's right there. There we go.
Yeah, we need to
I
get
like
up-
that.
Let's get
That
up
looks
to
kinda
200
cool on camera.
subscribers by the
Hey,
end of this week.
I like this. Watch
And
this.
look, I know, do it again.
Watch this. This is cool. You should do it too. That's
Oh,
funny.
look, it looks like I'm
There it
touching
is.
it.
Oh, there you go. See, oh, you are touching it. That's good.
I
Go
love
straight
it.
up.
Well, we should
Straight up.
get up to we should
Oh, over this way.
we should try to get up
There
to
we go.
200. I'm supporting it.
I'm supporting it. Okay, there we go. I like the finger
Oh my
thing.
gosh, we are so
No,
we
I'm
are so
5.
easily amused.
I'm 5.
we are.
Yeah, I'm
we
5.
we should have a goal of getting up to 200 subscribers by,
By
the end
Friday.
of this week.
By Friday.
Yeah.
Well, here's the
so
thing.
share it. It's one button to push.
Do it again.
Just
Like
subscribe.
that.
One
Point
button
again.
to push.
Point again.
One button
Oh,
to push.
yeah, point that way though.
You
One
mean
button.
YouTube
Point.
subscribers,
Point.
right?
Point.
Yeah, YouTube subscribers. We
There you
need
go.
you to go to
YouTube
YouTube.
subscribers.
YouTube.
Yeah.
YouTube. I'm putting together a bit of a contest, and I'm going to be working that out with the details with Corley. There may be a couple of $100 going your way.
What?
Yeah, what? We may be working out a little drawing
Are
once
we
we hit.
eligible?
No.
Okay. No.
No.
You've already
Once
liked
you have
it,
a
now they
1,000
shut down.
subscribers, there may be a little drawing from all of our subscribers, and one lucky person may walk away with a little bit of
That's
cash.
fancy.
That's fancy. All right.
I
As
like
we
that.
get fancy, we like to listen to the music on the way out. We know you do too. Don't miss us come Wednesday. That's right, 7:30 to 9 o'clock. We will be live having a big party.
Big day.
Big day, big party
Randy
right
Travis,
here.
And Congressman Van Taylor live in studio here in the 3rd Congressional District.
That's right.
Good stuff.
Singing and dancing and doing all the
Oh, and
whatnots.
I'll be anxious to hear what his thoughts are on the RNC convention at that time.
That should be interesting.
And yours too.
Things that make you go, Always chime in, let us know what you're thinking. Send us your school memes. If you've got a meme out there that's your favorite, send it over, and then go to our link tree and go to our go to our YouTube page and subscribe. Have a blessed day, and we will see you. Don't forget the
love you.
rebroadcast at 11:30 if you missed us this morning. Take care. We're out of here.